can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free.
Oh, wow. Welcome, everyone, to opening day on FT Live. And for the podcast crowd, we have a new fancy little open. Erik Kratz, did you like it?
I need that. I love that. I thought AJ would be more of a DH, though, than like with his offensive numbers.
Apologize, I missed it. I missed it.
The open?
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't the music, but you saw it. It was the baseball field.
I saw the very last second of it.
Okay.
Because I was full panic.
You're gonna have to watch tomorrow's show then.
I'm gonna be on
Nice.
I'm gonna be on an airplane. So
True. You got your Fox.
No Wi-Fi. No Wi-Fi. I get it.
No Wi-Fi when on those long flights. Only on the short flights you get Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Raise your hand if you watched Fair Territory leading up to this show, live to live. We're becoming a full-fledged network.
I watched it from my ears.
Rizzo.
I listened.
Right. That's fine. Listening's good. Are you excited?
So excited. How can you not be excited? Live Fair Territory. Ken gets to not have to work with AJ, and it's opening day. Like, this is exciting, and I'm so excited that I don't have to be on a team. I don't know. Somebody asked me that today. Like, do you miss it? Not for a second. Not for a second.
You excited about opening day? Do you get like?
I'm excited because I have something to watch every day now.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, there's not a ton to watch if you're not watching. If baseball is not on, or even when like football, and I'm not a big basketball guy, so I'm not a big hockey guy, so it's like hard for me to watch. So I get caught up on all my other shows, and then now baseball kicks in, and all the other shows are starting to peter off from the winter. So It's like, I'm excited because games today, real live games that count, not Kratz's spring training stats, and we go today. We go.
Everything you saw in spring training means nothing.
That's not true. Not true.
What means something?
There was 2 games that were played in Korea.
But that wasn't spring training.
But you said during spring training.
I didn't say exhibition season.
You said during spring training.
That wasn't their spring training.
Well, they went back to spring training, so.
Right, and that meant nothing. Which is weird.
True.
For the Dodgers and Padres, and they told us that, right? We had Tyler Wade on the field in South Korea right after they played their game, and he was like, okay, so now we go back and we play nothing burger games, and then we play real games again. So we'll see what happens with those 2 teams, but now we have almost a full slate. There are some rainouts because New York and Philly is going through it right now. But let's charge the damn mound, shall we?
Charging the mound.
Yes, we are. Shorter pitch clock. I want to just go over the rules. So just reminder, shorter pitch clock now. The clock is still 15 seconds with the bases empty, but it's going to go from 20 to 18 seconds with runners on. The pitching changes will be faster. Relievers have 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes, 15 seconds last year. Mound visit number goes down. We'll have 4 per game with pitchers, down from 5 in 2023. Ooh, I love when I read something and I see someone shaking their head. It makes me excited. But also, you have the batter face requirement. Pitchers sent out to warm up at the start of an inning must face at least 1 batter, avoiding the strategic but time-wasting move of removing them before a pitch after the offense counters with a pinch hitter. Okay, Mr. Shaky, what do you got?
Just like the kids say, bro, you're doing too much. Like, they just changed the rules. Like, what are they looking for? Are they looking for 2.5 extra minutes, or 2:35 extra? Bro, you're doing too much. They're doing too much. Relax. Let it play out for at least another year.
Yeah, I don't like this one either. But
Which one?
Well, first of all, I hate the 20 to 18. I mean, 2 seconds. Like, give the pitchers a little bit of a breather. I mean, Max Scherzer and some other guys have come on and said it's too rushed. Right? Fine. Mm-hmm. But then relievers will have 2 minutes down from 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Like, we're going to have to get bullpen carts again, which I'm for. Right? Because these dudes are going to be tired. Some of the bullpens are way out there.
Why don't they use those?
I don't know. Because they don't want to ruin the grass. But the batter face thing at warm up, okay, I'm fine with that one. It doesn't make a difference. But the 4 mound visits instead of 5. Have you ever seen anyone run out of a mound visits, Kratz? Because I haven't. I've
Not
yet to see a
until-
team run out.
No, not until there's a situation where you sit there and it's like, whatever, we have the mound visits. That's not slowing the game down. That's building the anticipation. That is building the anticipation. Hey, this is what they're thinking about. Hey, the fans can connect with this. And 15 seconds on the like the rule about the 15 less seconds. Like, are we trying to curtail injuries, or are we trying to get more guys hurt? Make sure they get loosened up. You come out in Chicago and it's 40 degrees. You need to make sure you have enough time to warm up. Like, give them the time. Have some feel. And how many guys are getting sent out for one and not facing that batter? How many times did that happen last year? 10? So we're saving 30 total minutes in an entire season? I don't know. Just doing too much, bro.
I think they're small generally.
They are, but I just don't. The one that's going to be bigger is the obstruction.
Yes.
Because, umpires are going to over-umpire. Like Angel Hernandez's first game, whenever he's on the bases,
wait.
there's going to be like an inch of someone's toe. Their pinky toe is going to be in the way. And now Angel Hernandez is going to be like, no, interference, interference.
You get the base.
Yeah.
I saw it in the spring training game like 2 days ago. I'm trying to remember who it
Lindor,
was.
it happened to Lindor.
Was it Lindor?
We talked about it.
Well,
That's
that was
not
Lindor,
nothing.
but there was one in a backfield, a double-A backfield game, and the catcher just perfect. Everything was great, and he stepped in front of home plate, tagged the guy. He was out, but the umpire, he gives like this, like almost like blocking. You can't see it on my camera right now, but almost like blocking. I can't do it without, where the ref gives like blocking in basketball on the hips, shooting two. You have the foul on the wrist, shooting two. You have the blocking. That's what the umpire did in that double-A game on the backfield. So,
Stupid.
I don't know. I don't like it.
I'm all for more contact, not less contact.
Yep.
Of course.
I hope it's reviewable.
Obstruction?
No, if fair and foul balls aren't reviewable, you think they're going to review obstruction? Come on.
Mm-mm.
That would take too long.
I mean, there already
And
is
it's
an
not a
answer
new
for that.
rule. It's not a new rule. Kate let us know that. It is a enforced rule. So they are not making this rule. It is an enforced rule. Just like when they were like, we're pushing the umpires to call the higher strike. That lasted for like 2 months of the season, and umpires were like, screw that.
That was good. I wonder how many other rules are out there that don't get enforced.
I mean, there's not that many. I mean, everyone kind of knows them now, but there's some laws though. If you like go on Google, like weird laws in cities, like you can't do this and you can't do that. It's kind of in big cities from like that laws that were written in 1700.
You can't
Google
drink
them, like-
tea on the right side of the sidewalk.
Yeah, there's
or
like all these
something
crazy
that.
things but nobody
I got
knows
arrested
them.
for that though, so don't make fun of
You got arrested for other things.
Urch.
Anyway, any other thoughts, big picture about this coming season that stands out to you? Actually, after we run FT for the next 2 hours, we will have the next edition of Dodgers Territory. In my mind, that team has so much spotlight on them in so many ways.
Of course.
Even aside
Good
from
and
the
bad.
Ohtani story.
Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad. But we're the only ones that – no, I don't want to say that. I'm going to take this back. They were one of the only ones that tried this offseason.
Yeah,
It was a very weird offseason.
I'm excited because the Orioles went and got Corbin Burns, right?
Yes.
The Dodgers made their moves. The Giants came in late and swooped a bunch of dudes up. Right? They're going to be better. The Padres made the Cease move, which we questioned. The Diamondbacks made moves. The Reds made a bunch of moves to help them. The Royals tried to improve their team. I mean, there's more than just Dodgers signed the big heavy hitters. But look at what the Braves did with Kelnick and making some other little sneaky Chris Sale moves that people aren't even really talking about. So there are other teams, Soto to New York. I mean, that's a huge one, right? So there are other moves that happen, and it's just exciting to see these guys take the field when it counts, when it matters, and see how they react. I mean, the Dodgers are going to be – they should do – they want to do a reality series. They should do a reality series on the Dodgers this year because it's only getting started.
If they record everything, that show would be worth a lot of money.
Or like a show like that would follow the Dodgers, be on twice a week I'd call it Dodgers territory. Like if you wanted to follow the Dodgers around and like, have a good host that used to be one of the on-field people with the Dodgers. That's just my idea, just spitballing.
No, it's a good idea. I like it. We'll work on it.
Okay.
Is there on the other side? So you pointed out the good stuff. What didn't you like over the last few months heading into this year?
Well, geez, what didn't I like? I like that I had to wait 4 months for baseball to come back on.
But that's every year.
I don't know. I hated first of all, I hate the Ohtani situation because we're going to never stop talking about it until something finally comes out. I hate some teams didn't try. I mean, with Oakland on down.
Mm-hmm.
And I also hate, that there's people, I've done a lot of radio and TV interviews the last few days questioning the health of baseball because baseball is healthy. If you really dig into it, it really is healthy. It's just for some reason, it's not only in baseball, but it's in almost every walk of life now. The negativity about everything. It's always because the people that are negative always seem to have the loudest voices on whatever platform you want to put it on. And it just let's be positive. Baseball's in a really good spot if they don't fuck it up. Okay.
I think that's what people are worried about though.
True. And then the players union and the players association and all that thing, Tony Clark and Marino and Bruce Meyer and all that. It's just it just puts a bad taste in your mouth, but then opening day comes and everyone stops talking about it and they focus on the games, which is what we should focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing hurts on opening day. Nothing hurts. You're like, wow, this is how I want to play the entire season. And then 1-0 for 3, and you're like, good night, my shoulder is killing me right now. And then you go into the 161 and you grind through it. The thing I didn't like about this offseason was the lack of contracts that I felt like were Will Smith type of contracts. That I feel like I'm happy for Will Smith. I feel like I'm happy for the Dodgers. Boom. Stay together. He's going to stay on that team most likely for the rest of his career. I want to see more of those type of contracts. We saw Aaron Nola's. We saw Will Smith's. I think, so many times as a player, I sit there and I go, man, I love the fact that Glasnow got that contract. A little worried for the Dodgers. I want to see more of those contracts where the teams come together. Zach Wheeler. Oh, shocker. 2 of the best teams that want to win. They gave out contracts that both sides feel good about. I want to see that because I think that's going to grow the game in your region, but also nationally because everyone will look at it and be like, good for them. Good for them. And not like, oh, which side made out? The less we have sides in baseball, the better the health, like you said, AJ, the health of the game is going to be.
Baseball is all about sides. I feel like that's the backbone of the sport. No?
It is. And I want those walls broken down. That's what I want. That would be the negative from this offseason. I want to see those walls at least smaller. Maybe not ever broken down, but smaller.
What about the on-field product? So we've talked about the rules. What about the talent that we're seeing right now? The athleticism? I would actually say that stuff's great. Here, I'll give you the positive and the negative. That stuff's great. I've been a fan of this game my whole life, well over 30 years now. And the injuries are wild. You got to keep our best players on the field. There's so many pitchers that are sitting on the sidelines right now. I want to see them all on the field. We're missing a lot of guys.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, if you can prevent injuries, you would get rid of this show and live on your billions of dollars. I just think it's something that it is the toughest sport in the world to make it to because of the fact that it takes an extreme talent. And I think when you push your body to the limit to be that good, pitchers especially, injuries are going to creep up. I don't even know if I think this. I know this. No way has there been a time in baseball where there's more talent in the sense of you can do this. More guys throw 100+ miles an hour consistently. More guys can hit the ball farther, run faster, and we keep moving up in those categories. And maybe we're pushing the limit maybe we're throwing the ball too hard. But
yeah,
I think that's look, you throw the ball as hard as you can for 6 years and you try to get $300 million. Or you try to stay healthy and you only get $150 million. Everybody wants to be the best. So throwing the ball hard, you're being told you're the best if that's the case.
Yeah, and we got great rookies coming through too, obviously, this year. Carter is still a rookie, Churio, Cole Keith, Langford, Jackson Merrill, etc. All right, let's bring in our first guest to talk about the state of the game and the state of baseball media too. Andrew Marchand covers sports media for The Athletic, joins us right now. Andrew, great to have you on here for the first time. Appreciate it. Happy opening day to you, first of all. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and to you guys as well. Fun day. A little rainy here, so no game, at Citi Field, but it's all good.
Yeah, they could have had the spotlight to themselves for a couple hours on opening day. We don't have any games until actually after our show, which is a little convenient. But anyway, let's get into the state of the game first off. I mean, we were talking about how AJ's doing a bunch of interviews today, and they're like, how's the health of baseball, business-wise, media-wise, young audience? What do you see? Because you cover all sports and media.
Yeah, so, and, my background's covering baseball. I covered the Mets and the Yankees for the New York Post and then ESPN. So I'm a little bit more bullish on baseball than like this overarching always like baseball's dying and all this other stuff. Because I just, number one, if you look at ballparks for 81 dates a year, most of them get at least 20,000, some closer to 40,000 per night. How many things in entertainment or anywhere around the world can draw that many people, that many nights, that consistently? That's number one. Number two, I think when you look at what I predominantly cover, TV, I think that they don't tell their story well enough. I think if you added up all the hours that people watch baseball and you compare it to football, it'd be much greater. And people would be like, well, there's 162 games and there's only 17 games for football. Well, that's also the advantage for the NFL and why their ratings are better. I'm not saying, let me be clear, the NFL is in better shape. It's a better TV sport. It's a better setup. So I'm not taking anything really away from the NFL. I just think baseball's story is better. And that said, on national baseball, they have some issues in terms of trying to sell those packages in the future. And, ESPN, I've written, they're likely going to opt out of their contract or at least threaten to after next year. The streaming thing on a national level hasn't worked. And then I'm sure you guys have covered, the regional sports networks. And obviously, that's really important to teams and salaries. And that's a big issue that's, ongoing in the next couple of years.
Andrew, I agree with you that things are positive. I'm bullish on baseball. Obviously, I love baseball, but I also think with the young talent and the people that we have and the way the sport is trending and the teams that are exciting and we have new teams getting into the postseason, and it's in a good spot if we don't mess it up, right? But what's next for baseball? You mentioned the streaming services. We've beaten the local, Bally, Diamond Sports to death about like, oh, they don't have any money, the RSN stuff. What's next for baseball? What can Major League Baseball do to help itself out and get its product more out there?
Well, I think they've done a good job. I think if you look at the business model of cable and regional sports networks, baseball was really important because, it's every day and there's a good, strong base of fans with, people, especially younger people, not getting cable. Those RSNs, which have, the rights to the local teams, are struggling, and Bally owns a lot of them, about half the teams. And so what's going to happen, almost undoubtedly, is that at some point MLB is going to take control of more teams' rights in probably a streaming environment. And will they do it alone? Will they have a partner like Disney, ESPN, or Amazon, or Apple? That's the question. The problem, and this is where it could impact salaries and the structure of the game, is, will they be able to recreate, what the regional sports networks were paying for those rights? Like if you look at San Diego, I think it was $65-70 million a year. And then, they turned it streaming, and MLB had some numbers. I think it was 18,000 people, got it. It's only year one, but that doesn't add up to 70 million over a year at, if it was $20 a month. So there's questions about how, they're going to transition, and nobody really knows the full answer and how to do that. It's kind of what's going on in all of media. It's not just baseball, but baseball is definitely there's some issues there because you're not getting, cable and RSNs. When you're on basic cable, that means everybody in that region is paying for it. So someone who lives next door to you who never watches a baseball game is still paying for it. Now, we get into a bigger discussion about the cable bundle, and what people don't understand when they bring this up is that that other person might like the cooking channel that you don't watch that makes it possible for them to have that. But that's another story for another time. But to recreate what they're getting financially is going to be difficult, and they're going to have to be very smart and nimble in terms of how they go forward. So it's in question for sure.
Are they the ones to be able to do that? Is MLB, based on the awareness and behind the times decisions that they make or delayed decisions that they make, are they the ones best suited for this? Or is this something that they'd be better outsourcing, selling the product, and then making sure, like an Amazon, if they can't partner with an Amazon, letting somebody that knows what's going on and isn't a bunch of 60-plus-year-old white men who don't understand how to push to the younger crowd.
Okay, so a couple of things there. Number one, in baseball's defense, what they did with MLB BAM, they were really ahead of the curve. So they and then they sold it to Disney. So they actually haven't done a terrible job in terms of moving to the digital spaces. But what you're asking, what I think ideally they would love to do is be able to sell it to Amazon or Disney at a huge price, get a big check that they could give to all the teams and let them figure it out and go from there. But I think in most cases, these big companies, they don't become big, successful, rich companies by just doing deals on spec when, they don't know the outcome. I wrote this the other day in a story I wrote about ESPN that, with the regional sports network, ESPN and Disney, they're not looking to write a big check. They're looking more for a partnership. And, obviously there could be some money involved up front, but they're not just going to take all the risk. And so that's where, things could change in terms of the salary structure. And, the other issue that you always get into with baseball, again, slightly overrated just because of how the playoffs work in terms of it being such a crapshoot. But, the haves and the have-nots, like the Dodgers, for example, their contract goes forever. They're paid, I don't know the exact number, but it's a crazy amount. That allows them for a long time to be able to afford Ohtani, etc. The Yankees and the Yes Network, they're still doing well. They have a deal already with Amazon, and Amazon's part owner of the Yes Network. So you do have this issue of the have and the have-nots. And I think in a perfect world, if MLB could have their way and Rob Manfred and company could do it how they'd want, they get all the rights under one roof and just sell it as one entity worldwide. And, each team would get the same amount of money. But the Yankees, the Dodgers, the big market teams, they're not going to go for that, at least not in the near term. And so it gets complicated because of that structure. You look at the NFL, yes, there are teams that are valued more, but in terms of the TV contract, everyone gets the same amount. It works out for everybody because it's so much, $110 billion in total on these last contracts. And they have all these little side deals where they keep adding more money. And so, it's complicated. Yeah, and to your overall point is that, they're going to have to be smart about it because it could really impact the future of the game if they don't do it correctly.
And I'm curious how they'd ever be able to accomplish that with those larger teams, Andrew. I guess the NFL did it so long ago that it's just standard. It's grandfathered in. For MLB, if you look at some of the teams that you mentioned, like the Yankees and the Cubs, why would they ever kind of be in the same pot when they know that they're going to bring in so much more of an audience? Would they have to almost come up with numbers based on what their audience scale is and pay them out that way? Because it has to do with the valuation of your franchise, because they'd be bringing in obviously less revenue if they're sharing that way like they do for the national deals.
Yeah, exactly. So look, the NFL has changed over the years with the Jerry Joneses of the world who, have made it so, the Cowboys do get compensated a little bit better, but overall it is a kind of a team entity that they're not always in stride together. And so, but you hit it on the head. It's the legacy of what they've done in the past. And I mean, if you look at it from, let's say, the Yankees' point of view, you can understand why they don't feel like they should be paid the same amount as the Pirates, especially when you have revenue sharing and they're sending, checks to other teams who don't spend, which is always a source, of issues because, like the A's, for example, apparently make a lot of money every year. And we all know the situation there where they're not spending at all. And so, that obviously draws the ire of the big market teams that have to write checks because of their, their payrolls. It's complicated. Like it's not easy. And you have all these moving parts, but there is going to be a large contingent that end up on streaming of some sort. Now, maybe they get local rights. And the other thing, the problem in that pay model too, that was better when you had cable, is that you're forcing people to make decisions on your sport all the time, and you're limiting the amount of people that see it just on a casual basis. And so if you teach people that it's hard to get the sport every day and it's expensive, they're going to stop watching. So they got to also figure out distribution and figure out, is it better to be seen? And, maybe there's some broadcast opportunities, because that's what we've, witnessed in other sports where broadcast is made, it's always been popular, but more of a comeback. So if you're on like AJ on Fox Sports, on a game of the week, there's an advantage to that, even if the money isn't great. It's just a huge, not that Fox does pay a lot because obviously they have the World Series, but the game of the week really isn't worth that much on a Saturday afternoon. Even when AJ's broadcasting it well, it's still only worth so much on those days. But the bottom line is, it's easy for people to just kind of turn a channel and they see it, and that's worth a lot as well. So again, very, very complicated.
Andrew, first of all, thanks for the nice words. But second of all, it's valuable because they get to advertise all their other stuff, right?
Yep.
So they get to advertise Fox, they get to advertise football, they get to advertise NASCAR, they get to advertise their shows that they're putting on. That's where the value lies. And think about, I think it's June 8th for the Fox this year. I'm in London for the Mets Phillies, right? You have the Preakness that same day, and then the nightcap is Dodgers Yankees in Yankee Stadium, right? So think about that viewership for Fox that one day. So, it might not be worth it in the short term, but in the long term, that's why Fox is like, yeah, we like what we do with baseball. And obviously I'm biased, but I think Fox does baseball by far, in a way, the best broadcast, right? So that's why it's different than, short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. But I digress. I wanted to ask you about something completely different, and you got me off track, but I'm going to ask anyways. Did you see what happened to Joe Girardi today at Yankee Stadium? Uh-oh. He muted himself.
I think he went mute. Hold on, Andrew.
I tried to be a pro. I was coughing, so I muted myself, and then the thing went on mute.
That's pro.
I was being like, a major professional, and then I'm pressing it won't mute. I was trying to do it calmly so you guys couldn't tell, but I did see that. Having covered the Yankees and Girardi, I did find it slightly funny. But you would think they'd let him in. And also, haven't the Astros done enough to Joe Girardi? I mean,
granted, it was in Houston. It wasn't in Yankee Stadium. It was in Houston. They didn't let him in because he had the wrong credential. Now, I've been to Houston a billion times, and there's a security guard that sits out there, and he has his hat on, and he's like this. And he just sits there, and he has a TV. And literally, the time hits, and if the time is 1 second early, he will not let you in. Mm-hmm. And they are probably the hardest about the credential police in the league of all the places I've been. There was one guy, two guys, and they are like, beep, you got to do your little badge scanner. I'm sure Andrew's seen it. Scott, you've seen it.
Yes.
You the little badge, and they have to scan it with their special phone. But, Girardi had the wrong one. So the Astros was like, no, you can't come in here.
The whole Girardi thing to me is also kind of, I wonder what your guys' take is on that. That was an interesting development. Obviously, he did some broadcasting after the Phillies and he's been with the Cubs, but to have the preceding manager in the booth or in the studio, on the studio shows, talking about moves that the manager's making, the current manager's making, I find that a little bit odd. I know they passed.
Andrew, I'll raise you Ozzie Guillen, and Bob Brenly.
Yes, but I feel like, and again, I'm not as well versed on.
Ozzie doesn't criticize anybody, so
right.
Well, Joe won't. I just think it's interesting because Joe, after 10 years, He won a World Series, and I had that run where they lost to the Astros in Game 7, and then got let go by the Yankees. So it wasn't as popular when he left, but now the manager. If you don't win a World Series in New York, you're terrible, right? Aaron Boone's done pretty well in most worlds. People would be like, yeah, he's done a pretty good job. In our world, it's World Series or bust. But I do find it like I don't know. I found that to be a strange one to me. I know Buck Showalter, someone they were interested in. From what I heard, Buck had some reservations about talking about someone who. I don't know if Aaron Boone's on the hot seat, but he might be. If they don't make the playoffs this year, that's 2 years in a row. He could be out. So I don't know. I found that to be a strange one. And Joe's very guarded. He's not bad on the air, but very guarded. So he won't criticize purposely. He's no Ozzie Guillen, but I thought that was a curious one. But now he can't even get into the clubhouse. So hopefully he can get on the field and do the broadcast.
I'd challenge you to find somebody that is like Ozzie Guillen. That would be easier to. That would be a harder thing to do. It's easier to find somebody that isn't as openly criticizing as Ozzie Guillen.
I covered Bobby V. I'd put Bobby V in that category.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a guy, right? Like who, I don't know, but yeah, Bobby could do it. But yes, you're right. Ozzie is definitely different, special in that way.
Who do you think MLB has embraced new media well enough? Because we had a team tell us we don't do podcasts, and that was the line they drew in the sand. We don't do.
We're
podcasts.
a digital show, by the way.
We're not a podcast.
Right? Well,
we're a live digital show.
Now, you didn't mention the teams. I'm not going to try to get you to say it, but is it one of we're talking about the big market teams that gets 1 million asks, or was it a smaller market team? Can you give me that?
It was. You're talking like the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the teams that have the big. It was one of those.
They all say they don't do podcasts?
No. Just one. He was saying it's a big market team. It was a big market team.
Yeah. So I can I think maybe the thinking is a way to say no, but you guys are a little bit different, right? You know what I mean? You guys are all obviously established ex-players. Most of you. So I feel like I don't know if usually it's different rules. Obviously anybody who's in media gets asked to do 1 million podcasts, and you try to be nice and do as many as you can. But these teams get asked a lot. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, that's ridiculous. Like a show like yours, you want your guys on there, right? Like if you asked, again, you guys have relationships so you can get people, but if you ask for the Mike Trouts and the A-Rods, A-Rods, Aaron Judges of the world, you guys might have to go directly to them. I don't know if they're going to set that up if they're if you're the Yankees, or the Angels, but yeah, that sounds ridiculous. So that's not very forward thinking, and pretty quite honestly stupid. In my opinion, again, depending on whom you're asking and what like Aaron Judge is not doing that many interviews outside of the clubhouse. Unless he's promoting something, you just don't hear him. He's not on the radio all the time. Those type of guys, who get so many, requests that I can understand it. But yeah, as an overall principle, if that's what a franchise is saying, that's stupid. In this day and age,
they're in the Stone Age if they're thinking that way. I agree. So, and we had to say we're a digital show. We also were on linear television last year as well through Stadium during the season, and should be on there again coming up soon. So anyway, we had to explain to them how things work. I think that's Kratz's point too. It's do we have to do that as much in other sports, right? If you went to an NBA team and said, our show has 10 former MLB players on it, right? And your colleague Ken Rosenthal and Alana Rizzo and myself, whatever. If you have to go and explain what you're doing, I'm like, are you paying attention? Because I don't feel like basketball has to do that if JJ Redick's company approaches them and says, hey, we want to do, a 20-minute interview.
Yeah. Well, every NBA player and ex-player has a podcast. So that's different. Someone said there should be a podcast network of like NBA players talking about like past events and like I don't know, like how every single one of them has one. But yeah, I mean, look, you shouldn't that sounds archaic. You should be promoting the game, and I also think the thing about your guys' show and what you're trying to do and what you can do in a digital world is be more organic, right? Have the conversations that you're having in the clubhouse, but bring that to a audience that doesn't get to hear that. And it's different than if you go on like a talk radio show, which, there's some people who know what they're talking about, but as someone who used to, go on those all the time, you can get some questions that are just like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, and you have to fake it. And so you would think that they would encourage that. But yeah, to answer your question overall, I don't know. All the sports there's different franchises handle it differently. Football, they can be a little bit tough. It's a very baseball. There's so much access. I think that's what people sometimes don't understand. What there's really like no other walk of life where like a manager or a leader of something, has to talk to the media before and after an event, in this case, a game. Like I always said, like the Exxon Valdez years ago, put all this oil into the ocean and like you didn't hear from like the leader. And, Joe Girardi or Aaron Boone, goes for a lefty instead of a righty in the seventh inning, and he's getting grilled. Which again, obviously, I did that, and you do that as a reporter, and so you want that access. So I'm not like more access the better, but it's just an interesting dynamic. So, and baseball's done well. I mean, the media is important. Regular media is important. Like I would argue for the players, it's important. It's actually a good thing, even though I know some players don't like it and they wish it wasn't there. It's actually a positive because if you look at the, even the big bad New York media, 80 to 90, maybe even higher percentage of the stories are either positive or just trying to explain something. Then you get the 5 and 10% that you have to deal with, no doubt about it. But as long as they're fair, I think those are fair. And, I think, I'd love to explain myself after every article when I get all these tweets with people saying kind of idiotic things, but like let me explain this to you. This is why I said that. This is how this works. And so I do think that's kind of something that the smart players take advantage of, and without making excuses or whatever, which I also think is unfair sometimes. I think we, as media and fans, will sometimes be like, he's making an excuse, as if like the rest of the world and their jobs is making an excuse every 5 seconds. And secondly, players are asked questions where it's like, yeah, this is why, and I respect people who didn't. Jeter was amazing and not making excuses, even when he was actually hurt and nobody knew about it. So that is something to be to look upon with praise.
Yeah, and I will say, with our show, we definitely try to promote the game and like talk about how cool the game is and who the best players are, whatever. Right? We're breaking down the sport, but also baseball fans love to complain. It's like a Seinfeld episode. Like you want to complain about stuff, the curb kind of episode, and we have fun with it because there's no rules here. So Andrew, it's awesome having you on here for the first time. Happy opening day to you. Appreciate the time, and for everyone watching, listening, all that. You can check out his work in the Athletic. New to the Athletic. When were you there? When was the move? Like
I've been there 6 weeks. I have a question. In this corner, is that how many people are watching?
Yes. Yes.
Just for your record, I believe it was at like 6,000. Now it's at 9,000, rising quickly. I'm just saying, I'm going to get off the air now, but I noticed that's like a 30 to 40% rise during this spot. So media.
Andrew, wait until Ken Rosenthal comes on next, and you'll really see a jump. So I'm not to burst your bubble, but Mr. Baseball's coming up.
Ken's the best, man. So if Ken's coming on and he goes up, if you said somebody like Passan or somebody else from one of these other places, then I would have said no. But
what if we said like Heyman or Sherman?
Well, those are my former guys, so I'd still be rooting for them.
Okay.
I changed uniform, so I'm with Ken. Listen, Ken's the best. So and those guys are great too. So they're all good. But I just noticed it's ticking up. So
it is ticking up. Our record's 50, so we have a long ways to go. But hey, the show just started. It ticks up over time. So Andrew, thank you.
Tweet it out though. I'm just kidding. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Andrew Marchand joining us, covers sports media for The Athletic. You can follow him at Andrew Marchand. And yes, Ken Rosenthal on deck. He'll be with us probably in the next couple minutes, but felt like it was a good combo to have. We're starting up the season, and our fans often ask us sports media questions, baseball media questions. I feel like those segments have always been appreciated because we just go wherever we want there. So it was good insight from Andrew. We've had his longtime friend John Orand on with us before, who works for Puck and used to be at Sports Business News or Sports Business Journal. Sports Business Journal. So anyway, if you guys liked that segment, let us know. We can kind of mix more of those in as the season goes on, especially when there's a big story like last year when the play-by-play dude for the Orioles got suspended for nothing. Got to talk about that.
Of course.
Even, you know how our sport works, like certain people can't say certain things all the time. We cover that. That was the one case where every team broadcaster spoke out. They were like, no, because this is our jobs. And they were like, I don't care if I get in trouble.
I made a joke to somebody. When I was at the Rays camp, I ran into BA and Stats, and I was
the broadcasters,
and I said something, and I said something about like, I don't know, and they were like, that was the worst thing ever. It was great. And they were, because they were playing the Rays. I was like, don't mention that, the Orioles can't win at the Trop. And they both busted out laughing.
I just couldn't believe that story. It might have been the most surprising story of the year last year, Kratz. Not because of what happened. I could see owner suspending his broadcaster. It's what he said. I was like, he didn't say anything. I thought I was going to rip that clip and it was going to be like, man, we sucked. Tanking was terrible. And I'm being like, okay, well, the owner's sensitive. He's not going to let you say that. And he was just like, well, everyone, we had some tough times against the Rays. They beat us in the last series, but we're going to take them this time. And I'm like,
huh? It was so tame. And it was all on the screen too. So did they suspend the person who made the graphic too? Because there was a graphic he was basically talking about. It was great.
I agree. Let's bring in our next guest. FT Senior Insider, Ken Rosenthal, joining us right now, fresh off of the second live edition of Fair Territory, going right from Fair into Dodgers territory. Ken, great to see you. And I don't know if you want to start this way, but you had Grillin' Ken on Fair Territory. Any questions that stood out to you that we can kind of, promote a little bit? I saw some of them that were coming your way about rookies, and I don't know if you remember any that stood out to you, but you probably had 5 or 6 mixed in there.
We did, and certainly the question about which rookie I am most looking forward to seeing was an interesting one. I said Wyatt Langford, but I could have said Jackson Chourio. I could have said Jackson Holliday. There are any number of candidates. I could have said Paul Sewald, who's not up yet, but will be. So I believe Erik mentioned this earlier on the show that this is the most talent the game has ever seen, and I can't totally scientifically verify that, but certainly that's my sense, that we are at a point in the game's history where we're just seeing such brilliance coming up into the sport, and it's really cool.
You also talked about the Will Smith extension with Alana, so I'll come at you maybe in a little bit of a different way. My main focus is on the years. You said it was the largest contract in terms of years ever given out to a catcher. We know why. I mean, ideally, if you sit down with the Dodgers, they're not going, we want this guy for 10 years. We want him when he's 38 years old. But we haven't talked a ton about the luxury tax stretching. It's the deferrals are one thing, the years are another. So do you think that trend will continue until it is stopped somewhere? Because we saw that last year be the big trend with guys like Bogaerts and Trey Turner.
For teams that are in that financial position, yes, they're going to continue to do this because it does help them with the luxury tax. Just for people who don't necessarily know what we're talking about, a luxury tax payroll is calculated by average annual value of contracts, not a salary in a given year. So by stretching this, the average annual value of this contract is $14 million a year. And then when you factor in the deferrals for luxury tax purposes, that number is even lower. So yeah, that's why they do it. And I don't know that it's going to stop anytime soon unless they change the rules, Scott. And I don't know that they necessarily will change the rules or should change the rules. Teams have the right to operate however they want and distribute their money however they want. We know the Dodgers are going to be paying some crazy number from 2033 on with all their deferrals, but that's what they are choosing to do. And as long as they don't go bankrupt, which I don't expect that they will, everything should be fine.
But the deferrals, they've been going on forever. It's not really my question. It's more of just a comment. Now you're just hearing about it when the best player in the game is getting a monstrous deferral. So I feel like
Right. No,
you're right.
you're right, Eric. And it's nothing new going back to Bobby Bonilla. And even before then, they've been consistently included in contracts. And I wrote about this yesterday with Fabian Ardaya from The Athletic about what the Dodgers' thinking is and how they approach these things. It's just, in their mind, a way to offer players a different kind of structure. They can give a guy the high guarantee, but it's going to be maybe for less years or something along those lines. So this is the way they're going about it. And I'll give you an example. Teoscar Hernandez, okay? They wanted him at a certain luxury tax number. It was, I believe it was about 20 million. But they were willing to give him 25 on a salary because they were able to get to that number through deferrals, the luxury tax number. That's what the thinking is on these kinds of things.
All right. My question is, when we all meet, us four, because it's a new season, who is most likely to have the Pappy Van Winkle for us?
I would say AJ.
AJ.
Yeah.
Okay, fair, because that's
That's
what I
right.
was going to
You
say.
ain't
so
buying
that's-
nothing. You ain't never bought nothing in your life, Ken.
That's
Well,
two. That's two.
That is a lie, but I don't drink, so I'm not going to have the Pappy Van Winkle. I can guarantee you that.
Well, then AJ will have
Maybe
it. That's
AJ,
perfect.
maybe I've never bought anything for you, but other people, yeah.
I've heard stories, Ken. I've heard
Stop
stories.
it. Spreading rumors.
Anyway, Ken.
But hey, what Eric is referring to is the story we wrote today, Fabian and I, about the Dodgers offseason. It was a crazy offseason, and we got some pretty cool details, including details about a party at Brad Paisley's house in Nashville during the winter meetings in Nashville. Dodgers officials came, and then Rays officials joined them later. And let's put it this way. At Brad Paisley's bar in his barn, which is attached to his property, he has some pretty good liquor. And he was serving some of that. And he told the Rays, president of baseball operations, Eric Neander, listen, man, I'm a Dodgers fan. I want Tyler Glasnow. If you want that liquor up there, the really good stuff, deal gets done. That's the deal gets done liquor.
That's great. That's tremendous. But the part that I wanted to hit on, and it's just a tiny little quote in there, is, and I don't remember exactly who, somebody said, well, is he going to go for this? And he said, Mark really wants to win. Talking about Mark Walter. Mark Walter or Walters? Walter, owner of the Dodgers, really wants to win. Was that refreshing when you heard that? Because it's refreshing to me when I read it.
It was an exchange between Freddie Freeman and Andrew
That's right.
Friedman.
That's right.
And it was at the start of the offseason. And a lot of teams do this. The GM or the president of baseball operations, whatever, calls veterans players, maybe even all players, to discuss the season that just passed and the offseason ahead. Freddie Freeman asked Andrew Friedman, what's the plan? And Friedman said, plan A is Ohtani and Yamamoto. Freeman said, whoa, is Walter going to go for that, meaning the owner? And that was Andrew Friedman's answer. And it was refreshing to hear that, obviously, but not surprising from the Dodgers. I'll give you a different example, much more recently, the last few days. Ken Kendrick of the Diamondbacks just named him due to the week on Fair Territory because this is a guy who has authorized a lot of money being spent this winter by a team that generally is not a high payroll team. Granted, they're coming off a World Series appearance, but the other team that just appeared in the World Series didn't approach it that aggressively, though, of course, they've been aggressive before. So Kendrick, he's got a franchise record payroll, but he's got Jordan Montgomery, Eduardo Rodriguez, Jock Peterson, Eugenio Suarez. They're a pretty interesting looking club, to say the least right now. Maybe the best rotation in the game when healthy. So it's always refreshing, Eric, to answer your question, when you see an owner committing at a time when he should be committing. That's my problem with the Marlins. They're coming off a playoff appearance, and they just gone backwards. That, to me, is unacceptable.
Ken, I have to ask you, have you seen your new thing that you have on this show? Have you heard about it?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Okay. Have you seen this? Your new emoji that you have now? Congratulations, you've officially arrived.
Thank you. I've been waiting my whole career for something like that to happen. So, yeah, it's pretty big.
Welcome to the digital world. It is
I
actually
mean,
great.
it actually is kind of small. I mean, it
Yeah.
fits you perfectly. But
It's
that's a whole
normal
different
size.
It is. We're all the same size emoji head, but whenever he comes on now, we get flooded with Ken emojis.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate it. Whoever's doing that, thank you.
I mean, it's all your fans out there, Ken. Look at them all. Look at all
All
highlights.
five of them. That's great.
All five. All right. You mentioned the Dodgers. You mentioned some of these other teams, the Diamondbacks making moves. A team that made a lot of moves were the Reds. They went out and they have Frankie Montas and made some pitching moves and brought in Candelario and some other moves to help them get over the hump because they just missed the playoffs last year. Now they lose McLain. What's next for the Reds? Because they've lost 2 starting infielders for them, more than likely, for a long time. One for 80 games we know of, and the other one we don't know about, McLain. So what's next for the Reds? India just slides in, takes over a spot. How is this going to work?
Well, it's interesting, AJ. I kept writing going back to last year that eventually they're going to have a problem. They're going to have a logjam of infielders. And then when they signed Candelario, it appeared that logjam would be even more extreme than it was. And yet, with Marte getting suspended and now the tough news on McLain, who is actually one of my favorite players to watch, it shows you the importance of depth. And we always know it's important, of course, but this team still has plenty of infielders. Yes, they can slide India in and they're okay. But are they a better team with Matt McLain? And for that matter, Noelvi Marte? No question about that. So I would expect they'll be fine. They still line up Candelario, De La Cruz, India. They'll be okay. But, man, it's just tough to lose a guy like McLain who, in my view, is a future star here. Maybe even a present star if you want to look at it that way.
Do you think the Reds knew about this? I know it's hard to say, but about the Marte suspension? Because then they went out and signed Candelario. I don't know exactly the timeline when teams find out about suspensions.
No.
But and then McLain got hurt in spring training, so that wasn't on the table. So they didn't know. They just went out and said, we like Candelario. We kept India. We have 7 infielders now.
That's right. And AJ, it's not like a team hears about a player getting suspended 3 weeks before. Doesn't work like that. They hear pretty much the moment it happens. So they had no idea. And these circumstances are just the kinds of things teams face over the course of a season. Now, granted, not every team loses a player to a PED suspension for 80 games, but different things come up. Injuries, all kinds of things happen. So that's why you build depth. And I would expect that if you had Nick Kroll, their GM, on tomorrow, he would say, listen, we were reasonably prepared for this, even though we don't want to lose good players ever. They've still got Christian Strand and Encarnacion as well. I missed him earlier. They've got Spencer Steer. They can do a number of things, but it's just a different look for them now.
I love Nick Kroll, by the way. If you say you're being competitive, that's a loser mentality. It's one of the great quotes I've ever heard. He said it on this show when we had him on. Mm-hmm. So good for him, and good for him for building depth in the organization. That's how you win nowadays. It's not about the 26 you start with. It's about the 45 you have in your organization.
Exactly.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Let's finish with this, Ken. Storyline maybe underrated that you're most excited about this coming opening day? Anything else that you've got on your mind? I feel like a ton of attention has been on the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani. Do you think there's anything that we're either overlooking or that we should just highlight because the offseason is over?
Right. Scott, to me, one of the intriguing things of any season is which clubs will surprise. And I'll give you a few that I actually think might. Out of the AL Central, the dreaded AL Central, I'm not going to pick AJ's team, the White Sox.
You
but
bastard.
I expect that the Royals or the Tigers or both are going to be better than we think, in part because of the weakness of the division, and in part because they have done things, the Royals in particular, in spending money and fortifying their pitching to help them improve. With the Tigers, it's more young players coming forward, but they've also added as well Maeda and some others. So I do expect that those teams will be improved. Whether they're good enough to surprise, I don't know, but in the Central, maybe. And the other team I'm looking at is a team that I wrote critically about with Stephen Nesbitt earlier this spring it was, the Pirates. Now, the Pirates have not been run particularly well under Bob Nutting, and in large part that's due to Bob Nutting, their owner, as I said. But they too have interesting young talent, and they're a team that I don't know if they're ready to pop just yet, and I don't know if they will. But once they get Skeens up, it becomes interesting. They've got Jared Jones in their rotation now. They have other players coming into the mix as well. I don't know if they're going to be good, but I'm watching. Put it that way. I'm paying attention because I'm curious.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, eventually the rebuild has to end. It has to end eventually. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's a great city for sports too. It's a bummer.
It hasn't been that long.
Yes, it has.
It was what 15 they were last time they were in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's been a decade.
I mean, the Mariners went
Time,
2
AJ.
decades.
It's almost a decade.
yeah,
The Mariners went 2 decades.
true.
And we weren't talking about
Well,
them
that wasn't
the way
good.
Ken talks about the Pirates. Blasphemy.
Blasphemy.
You don't see a drought that long, and I would make the case the Mariners have tried a little bit harder than the Pirates. It just wasn't working out for them.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
very fair.
Ken, before you go, you're in Houston on Saturday, correct? Make sure your credentials right because they will not let you in.
They don't know who you are, AJ.
No, not you. Not me. You.
we'll
They
tell
know.
them the context.
Because Joe Girardi got denied going into the Astros clubhouse.
Oh, I
because he
saw
had the
that.
wrong
Yeah, that's a little
credential.
weak.
So,
That's
I
a
mean,
little surprising.
I'm just saying this guy right here might get denied. They know me in Houston. See, when you get to go and like do the fancy schmancy games, I'm in Houston, right? When you do Yankees, Red Sox, I get Houston. So
What's
when I
Houston
walk
Yankees?
into,
That's not fancy schmancy for you. That's my game.
well,
set.
you know, the Yankees, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Make sure you have your credential correct.
Are they for
Okay.
Joe today? Like, I don't think this is you.
I don't think. Wait, are you going to be in Houston with me in a couple weeks?
I will, AJ.
Wow,
How about
I
that?
can't wait. You're going to buy me.
Is that a
Happy
fancy
Day.
schmancy game, or is that just a
Who's
normal-
going?
Rangers-
Who's going
Rangers,
down and
Astros?
who's going up? Is AJ going up and Ken's stock is falling? What's going on here?
Yes,
Little of both,
that.
Eric.
Okay.
I love it. All right, so then we'll talk next week about that to get ready for the Ken AJ game. And apologies to anyone that has to call that game with AJ. He's going to be
It's
off
a
the
new guy.
rails.
It's a new guy.
Oh, it's a
I
new
don't
guy.
even know who he is, but
All right,
I'm
well,
not going to spill his name yet.
yeah,
until
you're gonna have to
Ken-
break
New
the
Ken
news.
breaks.
I'm sure whoever that new guy is will be delighted to hear himself referred to as the new guy.
He is. I've never
He's
done a
probably
game
like
with him.
38 years old, and he's like, it's some kid. Ken, thank you. Happy opening day. Great work on
You
Fair
too, guys.
Territory, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks. Talk soon.
Thank you. That was fun. Ken Rosenthal with us, and you even snuck in the Ken Rosenthal emoji chatter. And during that time period, of course, we had to add another teammate. So I've been told that if you refresh your feed, you now also have the Alana Rizzo emoji that is added for FT members. Hot corner time. So there's a dude who tried to get clicks and got them. And it's so disappointing. It sets such a bad tone for so many others in the social media world, in the media world, in the digital media world. This is not how normal people act. This is such a classic case of, frankly, being a bitch. So we can show the video of a dude that tried to basically go at Anthony Volpe. Let's run it.
We're on the way to Anthony Volpe's autograph signing. I'm going to try to have him sign this tweet. I was criticizing him for hitting a home run when the Yankees lost, smiling after, whatever. I think he's going to sign it. You wouldn't sign it. It's like legality. I'm not debating. I'm just wondering. You're debating because you're no offense, man, but you've asked like 6 times. Bro, I can ask 10 times if I want to.
Yes, and people in the chat are like, don't even give it the attention. We generally won't, but I do think it's important to have an unfiltered show that is mostly hosted by former players, give their opinion on, someone that gives almost any baseball fan, any media member, and I'm talking about social, digital, etc., a terrible name. So it's basically a dude that was trying to get attention. It's like if someone brought you, AJ, a poster that says I'm an asshole, and they're like, can you sign this? It's just such a bitch move.
It was. Whoever this guy is, you suck. That's it. You just suck. I mean, you suck. I don't even know who this guy is. I've seen this video. Because here's the thing. I understand that, Anthony Volpe was smiling after they lost. Listen, he had his first big league homer. That happens one time. Guess how many big league homers that sucky guy hit in his life? 0. Right? So he doesn't even know. Kratz, luckily the game, I hit my first big league homer, we won, so I guess I was allowed to smile. Kratz, I don't know about when you hit your first big league homer, but even if you lost, there's a little bit of you that's like, oh man, I've always got one in the big leagues, right? And you can never take it away from you. So for this guy to come up to him, and the worst part is he put him on the spot, he filmed it, and he knew what the answer was going to be before he asked him. So like he just did this for clicks. And then people are like, oh my gosh, look what a bad guy Anthony Volpe is. No, Anthony Volpe handled it very well because there's people I know that would have got up, probably me, been like, dude, get the F out of here, bro. Like, what are you doing?
And that's what he wants.
That's what he wanted, though.
If you're an influencer creator, have a new media company like ours, we took a lot of time explaining to everyone in our world, baseball community, media, players, what we were about and that we weren't going to be losers. Because that is a loser mentality. That is just trying to make someone's day shitty and then record it.
Just trying to get that quick click real quick. It doesn't last. And you know what's funny about it was when Volpe did end up signing something for him, did shake his hand. Guess what he was doing? He was smiling. And it's okay to smile. What do you want him to be? He's 20, 21 years old. I'm not sure how old he was when he hit the home run, but he was smiling. It's okay. You know what? They lost the game. What do you want him to be like? Yeah, hit my first homer. It was neat. No, he was smiling. He didn't even say anything. If you go back and watch the clip of his interview, it couldn't wipe it off his face. That's pure, genuine emotion. And he still handled this like a pro. To me, I feel bad for this guy because it was a trash move by him.
You know why I feel bad for this guy?
I don't feel bad for this guy. Everything he gets, he deserves at this point because of what he tried to do to put a guy in a bad spot. Listen, there's a picture of me that I've signed a million times. It's me and Michael Barrett getting in it. Like I've signed it, I don't know how many, a lot, right?
Yes.
I've signed a lot of pictures of me striking out. Okay? Right? Fine. But that was part of what happened. This was something that had nothing to do with on the field. This was just this guy trying to get his name out there and be like, hey, look at me. I put Anthony Volpe in his place because I never played. Like, no, dude. Like, it's not cool to do that. Like, be a responsible adult and say, if you want to get him to sign something, hey, I'm a fan, Anthony, cool. But don't go up to him and be like, hey, this is a picture of you smiling after you. And the tweet I wrote criticizing you, hey, will you sign this for me? Volpe handled it really well. And the security guard that's sitting next to him was like, I'll tell you basically to get the F out of here.
Yeah, I thought he even handled it well because I've seen, more
He's
fun
awesome.
situations. Yeah. So here's my one advice because I feel like I can do this with someone who clearly is trying to have some type of reputation in baseball as an opinion, a commentator, a host, whatever the heck that dude is trying to do. You have put yourself in reputation hell, reputation prison, reputation purgatory. That clip will stay with you for the rest of your life. So if you're trying to get any type of media job, even if you're trying to get a following with a channel or a social media account, any of that, everyone will always point back to a video like this and you will always have to explain yourself. If you ask to interview a player, if you want to have a show and engage with fans, like nobody is going to respect a clip like that. So one time it gets clicks because everyone's saying you're a bitch and then you've shot your career. It's that serious because it was intentional too. It's not like
he was driving. Showing you, like, watch me. I'm going to see if I can get him to sign it. Ha, ha, ha. We'll see what happens.
Career killer, I'm telling you, because it's premeditated. Because it's not like you made a mistake. Hey, I'm sorry. I was getting in a heated exchange. I said something I didn't mean, whatever. This is like, I thought about this for days and I recorded myself and I'm going to do this. And I think this is what I should be standing for. Shot in baseball. I guarantee, I've already heard the reason I brought this up and put it in our text group last night is because somebody that works for a team said, this dude has no chance to ever get a credential, to ever get anything. Like he is on a no-fly list that quickly. There is a line, you crossed it.
And it's not this bad, but Andrew Marchand earlier, about 20 minutes ago, said 90% of the people in the big bad New York media are really good. There's a small 10% that are looking to write a opinion article with things that they're finding as facts. Like they're not trying, their media is not out to get players. Guys like this, give people who are trying to actually make connections for fans and stuff a bad rep for even like shows like us. Even like it's going to make Volpe less willing to engage in certain situations.
Facts. And when we need to actually ask the hard-hitting questions, this just hurts everyone's case, you know? Like when you want to bring someone on and you're like, we need to hold this person accountable. Something happened that's wrong, or there's a story going on and we need to report on it honestly or just talk about it honestly. This is how you just make a buffoon of yourself. So good job. Great job. Hey, you want to reach out? I can tell you how you just crushed your career in baseball. I'm telling you, I'm being serious. Your clip was seen in the wrong way. Next.
You tell me what's next.
I'd like to do the Orioles ownership tweet if we can. If we can cue that up. David Rubenstein is now officially the owner of the Baltimore Orioles. It's actually a good transition for us because we'll talk about owners in our sports, good, bad, how much it affects your team, your fandom, and your city. And here's someone that is very excited now to take over a ball club and kind of treat it like his personal fantasy baseball team. He did something today too?
You didn't see what he did today?
No, we're going to show his message. Was it different from that?
Yes, it's some here. So let's show his message and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Hello, I'm David Rubenstein, and I'm pleased to be the new owner of the Baltimore Orioles. I'm excited because I'm a native of Baltimore, have been a lifelong fan of the Orioles, and I'm really looking forward to doing what we can together with the community to make the Orioles the best team in baseball. I want to thank the Angelos family for what they've done over the last 30 years to provide stewardship of the Orioles. The owner of any baseball team can only do so much. Everything depends on the fans. So I hope you will come to games, support the team, and do everything we can to bring us to the next chapter of the Baltimore Orioles, and hopefully that will lead us to another World Series championship in the very near future.
Awesome. I'm into it.
That's badass.
Yeah. And now go put your money where your mouth is. I'm not just talking about player payroll. Just do everything you can to embrace the city because sports teams are for their communities.
100%.
Ooh,
100%.
I know what he can do. He can come right on foul territory and get the Orioles fans hyped for this new season.
I can get him. You want me to get him?
Do it.
Okay.
You won't.
I will.
Say it with your chest. Put your money where your mouth is. One time, Scott, get a guest.
We'll be on foul territory. Let's let him enjoy the job for 5 seconds, but soon.
Okay.
Like give me within a month. How's that? Is that fair?
That's fair.
I love
Get
that.
a guest.
Okay.
I love that he said what he said about the fans. Like, it's not just about me. I know you're excited about me taking over, but he also brought in a bunch of minority owners, one of them being Cal Ripken. But you didn't see what they did? I think it was today. One of the minority owners.
What?
You know what Pickles Pub is? It's right across the street from Camden Yards.
Okay.
It's been there forever. It has a big pickle out there. They went in and bought beers for the fans.
Nice.
Like they went in and everyone in here gets a beer. Yeah, today. I think it was today. It was on Twitter everywhere. But yeah, hey, we're buying beers for the fans here.
Welcome to Milwaukee.
Oh,
The Brewers do that all the time. Follow the Brewers account and you'll see players and like media people going into bars and being like, we're buying all the drinks for the next hour, and the place gets hype, obviously, but it's a good look. It's a good look.
It's a great look.
That's awesome.
tell
That's
you
a
what,
great way to start.
Ozzie Guillen's throwing out the first pitch today for the White Sox. If he two hops it, Kratz said he'll buy beers at a local establishment in Bridgeport next time he's in Chicago. For everybody.
Kratz said that?
Mm-hmm. He texted me.
Two hopper.
It has to be a two hopper though.
Two hopper. Oof.
If he throws a
I
strike,
played Major League Baseball if people are old enough to remember.
if he throws a strike that the catcher's able to catch, AJ said he's going Pappy Van Winkle for the boys on the crew.
Really?
I did not say that. I am the Ken Rosenthal of this crew.
All right, next up, because I want to get to a few more of these before our next guest. I'm going to clap it up for one of my favorite players, but I would clap it up for any player that accomplishes this. So we have a clip of Reds, not rookie anymore, sophomore, Elly Cruz, continuing his journey to learn English. And yesterday, I think it was his first interview that he's ever done without an interpreter and just in English. So here it is.
Yeah, it's so important to me because now you guys understand what I say, and it's important to the fans to understand me and me understand the fans. And I put a lot of work on my English to talk with you guys, and I think I'm doing a good job. That's what I think. I don't know.
I can vouch for that.
I don't know.
How did you work on it?
I practice every day talking with the other guys, and I just talk with them, and I just let it go. I like talk with American guys because I create confidence.
So Jorge wasn't.
Hey, I don't need him no more.
Yeah, he doesn't. He wasn't doing the job.
Yeah, he was doing the job, but.
Yeah, I can leave. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
But he helped me a lot.
It's like graduating.
That is
you know?
badass.
That is so cool. How amazing is that?
You know what's badass about it too is he wanted to do it, right? And the reasons he said were like for the fans and so you guys, like there's no interpreter needed here. He's like, yeah, ask me. That's awesome. Like we've had many guests on, Freddie Peralta, Andres Jimenez, right? Eloy Jimenez, right? That speak English. And it's awesome because you can have an interview and there's no, let me wait and see what he says. And then, okay, yeah, right? Like, no, it's awesome. Like, I mean, I speak a little, Kratz speaks more Spanish than I do, but I mean, I speak enough to understand what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I could never go to Venezuela and sit down and they'd be like firing questions at me. I'd have to be like, whoa. But I would eventually, hopefully, learn the language like he did. And it's awesome that he did this.
Can I change my MVP vote? Like there is like we just talked about it yesterday. He has extreme talent. We talked about Chris Getz yesterday. Now you're talking about IQ. You're not smarter because you learn English. You learn English because you want to improve at something. And if you don't want to improve at the little things in life, you sure as heck aren't going to improve at shortening your swing. I couldn't be more in this guy's corner now. Like this is that was a step in the direction to not just fans, ingratiate his teammates. Like he's willing to do that. This guy's willing to step up and say what he believes and feels, and he worked at it. I think hats off to him. That is so awesome.
Yeah, props. I get emotional, which is not very frequently, when I see someone learn a new language and now they're able to communicate in a different way. It brings the world together, brings our game together. It's really, really difficult to do. So props to Elly De La Cruz. It is a huge accomplishment, almost like graduation level, right? Like you learned a course, and that's speaking our annoying language with all its quirks in it. English is not easy. So props to him.
Before we bring on somebody who probably speaks 9 languages, I have to say that a young Latin player, first language is Spanish, to make it to the big leagues, you're skipping out on a lot of the time that some of these older Latin players that make it to the big leagues have practicing Spanish. So they have to go out of their way to practice English because you're usually mandatory rookie ball, low A, high A, even some double A English classes. When you make it to triple A, they're like, hey, go. When you make it to the big leagues, and Elly's young, so he skipped most of that, and so he had to take it upon himself to learn English, which he clearly has.
Well, let's just bring it right in with our next guest here. We'll ask him about it. Paul Sewald of the Arizona Diamondbacks joining us right now. And Paul, happy opening day to you, and we'll get into all of that. But just to kind of finish up our combo, we showed how Elly De La Cruz is speaking fluent English, doesn't need his interpreter now, and had a great interview. So I was saying, like, I don't get emotional often. I'm like, let's go. Like, that's like graduating,
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. These guys, I mean, even as an English speaker my entire life, to get put in front of the media, you just have like second thoughts about making sure you're saying what you actually want to say and you say it correctly. To do it in a different language is really impressive. I did see that too. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was
Paul,
great.
Paul, I know you're injured. Are you like in the? Are you like put in the corner there in that room? And
It's a hot tub.
Chase
Next
Field?
to the hot tub.
Yeah, like what?
I'm not allowed out of this room until I'm healthy. That's part of the program.
I mean, it looks like you're like you're in detention right now, and the rules are I will not yell at the teacher anymore over your shoulder there.
Here at Salt River, we got the practice. This is the doctor's office, trying to make sure I was quiet, make sure I could talk to you guys. But yeah, I'm in detention until I get back.
You don't even get to go to Chase today. They make you stay at Salt River. You don't even get to move over.
I'll be there tonight for opening day and tomorrow for the ring ceremony. But
I was gonna say you ain't missing that ring, sir, dude. I don't care. You would have to they would even be in a wheelchair. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm coming out and get my ring tomorrow."
I'm getting my ring tomorrow, but I want to respect those guys, the 26 guys that are fighting tonight and tomorrow. But so we did all our stuff here today, but I'll show up at the last second, crush some spread, go out there for the lineup, and then watch a game like everybody else.
Oh, get your ovation. Give the old hat tip. Hey guys, it was me.
Got to do it.
It was all me.
Got to do it.
It's me, Paul. Yeah, wow, look at me.
Hey, Kratz will give you $2,500 if you trip on the carpet.
I was gonna say, Kratzy, how much to just eat it? That's your thing. How much to eat it?
Kind of in financial straits right now, so I'm gonna have to give you an IOU.
Not good enough.
I can't condone it. No, you don't. What I need to know is, have you gotten a sneak peek of the rings yet?
No, I haven't seen them at all because I'm not in Arizona for the offseason. I haven't seen them whatsoever. So tomorrow will be the first time I get to see them just like everybody else.
You excited about it?
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. There's only one better ring in our game, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Dude, okay, I have to ask this because Kratz is proud of his 14 ring too when they didn't win. Like, I know you get a ring and it's cool you won the National League, but like there's got to be a little bit of you that's like, man, I wish I had the. I mean, I don't even want to know what the Rangers ring looks like, but like, right? I don't know because I've never been in that position. I've lost in the playoffs, but I never won the league and lost in the World Series. So there's got to be a little bit. It's like bittersweet. Like, yeah, we were National League champs, but damn it.
Yeah, I almost didn't even realize that we were going to get a ring. I always feel like that's a championship thing only. So I was kind of caught off guard when they messaged us and said, make sure you send your ring size. I think more than anything, it'll just be a nice memento of all the memories that I think that we'll all get to share for the rest of our lives. I think it'll be something cool to show my girls that they'll be into jewelry and they can kind of see it and be like, this is when Daddy won the National League, and kind of just take them down memory lane. As far as the ring, I'm not really sure if it's ever going to get worn, but maybe to Diamondbacks reunions type of thing is probably the only time that I'll ever take it out of the box.
Enjoy it. Enjoy every second of it because you worked just as hard as the Rangers worked to win the World Series. You were there. You know what? You came up short. The only rule is you can't wear it when somebody's wearing a first place ring. So that's just the rule, the hierarchy of rings. So I can't wear my second place ring if I'm hanging around AJ wearing his woman's World Series ring. But I'll just break out my 2015 one. So there's that.
Well, we were kind of just talking to Jordan about it, and it's like, well, we get our second place rings, and you'll get yours in May when we go to Texas. But you just keep that, to yourself until we go to Texas. So I think it's fine. I think all of us can wear it until Jordan gets his when we go play the Rangers, and then yeah, I think we all have to put it away. I think that's safe.
Wait, is Monty there?
Yeah,
is he there?
He's ready. He's ready to rock and roll.
How many innings can he throw?
I think he's throwing 12 tomorrow.
12. All right. Well, he's ready then. He's definitely ready.
12.
Yeah.
He's ready.
I mean, what has he been doing? Is he in shape? Has he been running poles?
He's been throwing. I just went and watched him throw. I was like, this guy's ready. Let's get him in a game.
Jeez.
When is
he's not in a doctor's office with him. He's not in Paul's doctor's office. So that's good.
He's not on the IL. He doesn't have to be locked in detention. He's fine. He just needs to go out there and play.
But he's starting in AAA, correct? AAA is Reno? Where's AAA for you guys? Reno?
Yeah, so Reno, they were talking about that today. They're trying to figure out exactly how it's going to work, but it sounds like he's going to be a Reno ace for the first week, and they'll play it by ear and see how he feels. And I know he's itching to get out there, and I know, when we had a pitcher's dinner a couple hours after we all got the notification, and all of us were pretty darn excited to get that notification. We're excited to have him.
Hey,
Did
it's
you
part
call
of
him?
him too. He didn't get a qualifying offer by going to Reno for a week, so he can go be an ace, and then he can come up and be a Diamondback and not get a qualifying offer. Not a bad play for $25 million.
No. What was your reaction, Paul, when you saw that news?
Stoked, right? I mean, just like, wow, just what a move by Mike, and the Diamondbacks are coming, and that's just, it's going to be great. We're hoping that it'll be him, and then it'll be Erod, and it'll be me, and all of a sudden we'll have our full squad, and we're gonna start going this summer. We're excited. What an addition. We had you can say the best seat or the worst seat in the house to watch him dominate us in the World Series. So glad he's on our team now.
So when you guys found out at your pitcher's meal, did somebody quick call Monty and say, since you're making more than the rest of us, you can pay for this meal even though you're not here? Or who ended up paying for the pitcher's meal?
We had a couple of us pay. We didn't send the bill directly to him. I guess we'll just make sure we'll make sure that we get a pitcher's dinner with him included once those $25 million paychecks start to come in. I think he'll be just fine with paying for a meal or two.
Because he has the World Series bonus too, and you guys have the second place bonus.
Thank you, Kratzy, for reminding me that we didn't
Are you
have the World
serious?
Series bonus either. We just got the second bonus.
God,
welcome.
we're trying to have Paul on the whole year.
We like Paul. He's a great interview. Way to bring it down.
Great.
Hey, he's on the IL right now.
Jeez.
I apologize for Debbie Downer up there.
But hey, give Paul credit. He did say we had him on Valentine's Day and his wife was, cooking away in the background while he's out there doing interviews. He said the Diamondbacks had another move in them, so he was right.
They nailed it. Mike never stops working. Mike never stops working.
Love that.
I'm a fan. And Paul, the story about how Mike was trying to acquire him, right? Because he was public about the comments, and I love that from a GM or a president of baseball ops, whatever, saying, yeah, we were interested in Monty, we wanted him, and we just didn't pull off the trade. And he had massive regret about it. And then it's just funny, a few months later, he signs him.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I think the trade deadline was a whirlwind for me. I guess I don't think I saw anything else in the world except for what was going on in my crazy life. But that's we could have used him down the stretch. So that's too bad. But I wouldn't mind, doing something special in 2024 with him.
Mm-hmm. Hey, just to circle back for a moment, what was your thought when obviously you found out about the oblique injury, and do you have a timetable, a date circled where you're like, I'm back closing games?
Yeah, so it's my first time on the IL for an actual injury in my entire professional career, so that was pretty devastating.
Whoa. Actual injury, that implies you had an anal fissure.
No, not phantom IL.
I will say...
You don't have to go into it. I just continue.
I don't consider staph infection or COVID to be a real IL stint. That was...
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Fair.
Okay.
Agreed.
Fair enough.
No, the phantom
staph
IL
infection,
that
though. Did you get
so that was disappointing. That was disappointing. Just the first time been injured, but there's just nothing I can do about it now except for go 100 miles an hour in rehab and recovery, and if I have to sleep in the cold tub, I'll sleep in the cold tub. Try and be back a couple days quicker, but we don't really have a timetable. This is just one of those things that if you it's like a hamstring. If you come back too quickly, you can bother it again, and missing in a certain amount of time is fine, but if I come back too quick and then I miss part of the regular season in the middle of the year, and then I come back and I try to force it, and we could have a full year of this. So it's unfortunate, but we're gonna stay on the IL until I'm 100%, and then I'm coming off, and we're gonna act like this never happened. So whenever that is, I will be ecstatic. But as of right now, unfortunately, we just have to sit and wait and do whatever we can here at Salt River to get better.
That's a great way of approaching it, because you want to be out there, but it doesn't make you out there if you're out there hurt. Could it have been prevented? And I know you've never been hurt before. You've never been on the IL before. Just in this show, and it's brought up once a week, pitchers' injuries. Like, we have so many pitchers, including yourself right now, that are not in the game opening day, that is that hurting this game? But can these injuries be prevented? And I know you don't have the Tommy John or the shoulder or anything, it's no oblique, so it's different, but it's an injury that I don't get walking down the road. I'm not pulling any obliques walking down the road. So can this stuff for pitchers be prevented, or is it just, we're going 100 miles an hour and see what happens?
Yeah, I just think we're putting so much torque and pressure on our bodies that it's really just a difficult thing to try and figure out. I mean, our research team and our health team are just doing everything they can every single day to figure out how to keep everybody healthy, right? Now analytics kind of created a different part of baseball, and now everyone's trying to figure out how to keep their players healthy. That's the biggest thing moving forward is I'm paying player X. I want him out there as many games as possible. And I just don't think there's anything that we could do. I mean, we're trying everything, right? Everything is scientific. Everything goes into the notes. If you do ice here or you throw this many and then you don't do your shoulder program, I mean, everything is documented, and everyone across baseball is doing everything they can to figure out how to prevent injury. Sometimes you're just putting your body through a motion that, it's not really supposed to go through. You're right. You said you don't tear your oblique walking down the street, but you're also just casually walking. I'm trying to throw a ball as hard as I can, as many times as I can throughout the day to try and make sure that I can get better at it. So I just don't know. There's a lot going. Is it Devin Williams back, is frustrating too. And it's like, I don't think there's anything Devin could have done to fix that, right? He's just going out there and he's doing everything, working out, trying to make sure he's, the best reliever in baseball like he was last year. I don't think he did anything different. It's just one of those things that you just put your body through so much, and sometimes your body just says that's too much.
Paul, I got a rules question for you, because we did this at the top of the show just to remind everyone. There's some small tweaks to the rules this year, like with the pitch clock. So that's where I want to go. We had 2 games already played. They were awesome to watch those games in South Korea. I don't know if you caught any of it, but in game number 1, there were 4 pitch clock violations against the Padres, 2 of them against one pitcher, Wandy Peralta. And the first batter of the game, Mookie Betts, walked on a pitch clock violation. I'm like, is this the beginning of 2023 or 2024? In your mind, how does that happen? And you could see some frustration from Mike Schultz. I didn't catch any of his comments after the game. We had our own post-game show running. But do you think it's strange that you'd have 4 of those right off the jump?
I think, it's a couple extra seconds quicker. That is going to be difficult. I felt like we did a great job last year. I don't really know if the 2 seconds is really going to be the difference maker, unfortunately, but the rules are the rules. You just it's so hard because our entire lives, they've been trying to say, okay, slow the game down, get your breath, then throw. And then, then they kind of put this clock in there and they try and make sure that you're working quicker. So, I didn't get a chance to see it. Maybe Wandy was, trying to make sure he's making the best pitches and he's going over which pitch he was going to throw. And these things can happen. I think we'll have less throughout the season. I felt like that's what we had last year, right? We had a few in spring training and a couple in April, and then they really started to slow down and you started to not really see a ton of violations. I think maybe we'll have the same thing, even though it's just 2 seconds from 20 to 18, but, you just gotta do your routine as quickly as you can to make sure that you can catch your breath and go without feeling rushed, but also make sure you're getting under that clock. So just something that pitchers have to consistently work for. So it's disappointing that I got injured because I was kind of starting to feel like, all right, I'm starting to get the hang of, making sure you're throwing fast, because that's not something you do in the off season. So I think guys just have to quicken up the routine and get their pitches and get that pitch calm situation figured out and go right at it.
I mean, pitchers aren't athletes, so, they can't keep up. It's simple.
You guys are really.
I guess I'm not athletic. I hurt my oblique trying to throw a ball, so I guess it's not so athletic.
Hey, someone that I've done it before too, so I know what it feels like. Trust me.
Yeah. Paul, question for you. What's up with your teammate from last year who was super clutch in the playoffs? When's Tommy Pham going to sign? Have you sent him a text or anything? I mean, I thought actually he was going to sign up with the Padres right when they came back. I'm like, maybe he just doesn't want to make the long-ass flight, and he'll sign right after that because I think they're an outfielder short. But this dude was great last year.
Yeah, it's frustrating, right? I mean, it's frustrating just across the board. You had, the big 4 that everyone's talked about, and then you have extra guys that just feel like it doesn't make any sense why they're not signed at. I don't know if we have enough time to go through all the reasons why these guys aren't signed. I feel like it's frustrating, and I think everyone's kind of vocalized their same displeasure with how some teams aren't necessarily trying their absolute best to try and win games. So, they're trying to make sure they stay under a certain payroll, and that's, not GM's or president of baseball operations fault. It's just part of the problem. But if you don't think that Tommy Pham is good enough to be one of the, we'll say 90 outfielders in baseball, that is just crazy to me. And I'm frustrated for him, and I hope he signs quick. And, I know he'll be ready whenever he gets the chance. It won't take him long to get back into it. I'm sure he's doing work at home in Vegas. It's just frustrating that not everyone is as committed to winning as the Diamondbacks are and other teams are. And so, hopefully somebody realizes that, hey, Tommy could absolutely make our team better right away. We need to get him as quickly as we can and get him to whatever city he's going to go to.
Hey, Paul, you mentioned Tommy Pham and some of the situation, Montgomery signing late, Snell signing late, JD Martinez, right? I know I'm assuming, and you tell me, but I'm guessing, I shouldn't say assuming. I'm guessing you're obviously part of the union and you've been a part of that. Is that one of the main reasons why there was like a little bit of dissension in the ranks of the union because of the free agency? And I mean, I know you can't go deep into it, but yeah. I'm assuming that was a big part of it.
Without explaining necessarily things that, as as a PA member, you understand that we're trying to do the best that we can. We just are not totally sure that the system is perfect for as many guys as it should be, and how hard it is to try and get to 6 years of service time. And when you get that chance to be a free agent, that's your chance to really cash in, and you should have all the leverage in the world to get where you need to go to. And, for 4 of our best players in all of baseball to be struggling to find work is just crazy. And so, we did a lot better in this last CBA in 21/22 during the lockout, which is great. Could we do better? That's what we're working on as a union, is trying to figure out who can make sure that we do the very best we can in our new CBA agreement that'll come up in a few years, so that everyone can get the most money they can get, the most service time they can get, and just try to get, in our version, the best brand of baseball you could possibly get, right? So that's what we're working towards. And as a union, we need to figure out who can make that happen. Who do we already have that knows these sorts of things, and who can help us in negotiations? Do we need outside help? Do we need to just refine who we have? So that's just part of our PA working together, and as many guys as we need, all 1,200 of us in the union, to just band together and try and figure out what's exactly best for the guy with no service time, the guy for 15 years of service time, the guy making $700,000, or the guy making $50 million. So it's difficult. It's a difficult process to have 1,200 people go against just 30. But I will tell you, our union's never been stronger, and we're excited that we're gonna put together the best group that we can, so that in the CBA agreement in a couple of years, we're gonna be as strong as ever.
Yeah, and I'll say from the fan perspective, it's better when guys sign earlier than this, even if they do end up getting, the right deal later on. I'm not saying I don't believe in the deadline part. I just think this stuff has to happen quicker, and it works better for all sides. I mean, even the marketing of the game, right? Like, Monty signing with your team is freaking awesome, but we would have given it like the full coverage if this happened in November or December. You can prep your season ticket promotion, all that stuff, right? Now it's just like, boom, the season starts. So it's a neat surprise, but it would have been better a few months ago.
100%. I mean, everyone wanted to see Snell pitch in a Giants uniform in spring training. Everybody wants to see Monty pitch in a Diamondbacks uniform in spring training. You have all these people, especially across the country, that fly down to Florida or Arizona to see their team. I mean, they want to see the whole team. That's the best chance for kids to get autographs, as we pass, going from field to field during PFPs. I mean, it's something special. You want to be a part of that. And, I've heard nothing but good things from Jordan about Jordan, and meeting him, he's going to fit in great. But we sure could have used 7 weeks to have him around the guys and get to know everybody and get to know the coaches. And, we have, bunt defenses and pick plays, and it's just going to be very difficult. And he's going to do everything he can to be ready, and he will be ready. But, there's a reason we have spring training, is because that builds the team camaraderie. It gets you going for the season, and to not have him is disappointing. And, he'll just kind of have to jump in the middle of the season. But pitching wise, it won't be an issue. But it's just a lot of stuff that goes into spring training that we would have liked to have had him.
I agree. Well said. Paul, get better soon, man. Hang out in that cold tub. Don't let Kratz beat you down. And always appreciate it, man. Happy opening day to you.
I appreciate it, guys. I'll be healthy the next time we get to talk, so that'll be more
Hell
fun.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Love that. Yes, sounds good.
Awesome.
Good plan. Talk to you soon, man.
See you guys.
Paul Sewald, one of the best interviews in baseball. That was great. And before we move on, too, I thought this was a good comment in the chat from Philip. He said, bribe the teams with draft picks. It's the only thing they respond to. I fully agree with that. We had a problem with teams not calling up certain prospects. It is not perfect yet, but it's much better. Why? Because they said if you do that and he's really good and he wins an award or gets in second place for Rookie of the Year, we give you a draft pick. So in my mind, no signing deadline. That will never get approved. But can you reward teams for making signings early on? Because then even the big market teams will be involved too. Like even a team such as Boston that basically did nothing this offseason. They would want to act sooner because they'd be like, not only do we get a signing, but we would get some type of compensation pick. The owners probably would never go for that, but it is a way to cause action. You get incentives for doing things.
Agreed. Whatever it takes.
I like that idea. I really like that idea.
I mean, whose draft picks are they taking, though?
They what?
Whose draft pick? There's
just
you add them. You add them.
The draft pick fairy is going to be like, and you get a draft pick. And
it's like,
like
it's
the
like the
second,
U.S.
like
printing money. You just add more picks.
Oh, perfect.
No, it's a real thing, though.
Compensation.
You know how
I know what a comp pick is.
Right. So then why can't we add more comp picks?
We can.
Yeah.
Why are you being so pissy
100.
about it? Why don't you like it?
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said I like it. I just want to know where they're going to come from.
We can do, like, let's say
there's going to be a comp pick fairy. And they're going to be like,
I love the comp pick fairy.
Scott Braun gets a comp pick. And
you get a comp pick.
And
I'll
you
be
get
live.
one.
Hey, we'll be live for some type of draft show when that happens. So we'll just have to keep going. We'll say, congratulations, Red Sox. You signed a player in November. You get a comp pick. And then we'll be on and we'll say, hey, this guy is picked because they signed Jordan Montgomery in November.
And you
I think it's a good
get
idea.
comp pick. And
Yeah.
you get a comp pick.
There's got to be something to incentivize these teams, and they love draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
They do love the draft picks.
Yes, they do. All right. The season starts really soon. We're basically a pregame show for the beginning of the season. Season predictions, shall we?
We have to.
At least some. Let's mix in some. I mean, I know it's a
I'm
lot.
going to be so disappointed if you don't have the White Sox somewhere, a White Sox player, anything on there. We're so disappointed.
I have plenty. It's all White Sox.
No.
White Sox are winning the NL East, according to AJ Pierzynski.
Let's do some awards first. Want to do Cy Young?
Yeah, let me get my notes like Kratz.
Okay. Let's do AL Cy. Kratz, who's your pick?
American League Cy Young?
Yes.
I forget.
Are you serious? You don't have
Yeah,
your
I
notes?
honestly
You're
forget.
always so prepared.
By the way,
okay,
I just
then
want to
we'll
say
go.
this. We did not talk about these at all before.
No, we did not.
So I don't know who Kratz is picking, and I don't want to know who Scott's picking.
Can I go?
Sure.
George Kirby, AL Cy Young winner for me.
I thought about him.
That's a ballsy pick.
Is it?
I remember. Corbin Burns.
Of course.
That's a
I mean,
great
you
pick,
forgot
too.
that? Like, that wasn't who you were going to pick.
That's crazy.
I was
We should have
forgetting.
reminded him. You love Burns.
I mean,
we do too. I mean, he was in consideration. I had 3-4 guys in
It's a
consideration.
bold pick, Cotton.
George Kirby throws strikes. He keeps adding to the repertoire. His strikeout rate increased quite a bit last year. He's always had the historic walk rate and the control and command, decreased homers. Why are you throwing?
Didn't he throw the knuckleball?
Oh, the one knuckleball or whatever.
From
Yeah.
last. Yeah.
He's got the sweeper. He's one of those guys where he'll throw a bullpen session. He'll look to the right and be like, oh, what are you doing? And then he'll just be like, oh, I can do that. And all of a sudden he's got a new pitch or a variation
Elite
of a pitch.
athleticism. I like that.
Elite. And throw strikes. So far he's been durable. So that's my Cy.
Got it. I'm going to take a guy that I don't love as much as Eric loves Corbin Burns, but Pablo Lopez to win the Cy Young. I just think he's primed. He's primed and ready. And it is time for Pablo Lopez to show that trade I've been right about the whole time. When they traded a rise for Pablo Lopez, he's going to win the Cy Young this year.
I've been right the whole time. I love that.
I'm not saying anything. Pablo Lopez is a stud. Guess what?
What?
I had him in consideration. He was in my
But
list.
then he got traded for Luis Ariz, and I can't do that.
No, he's a great dude. he keeps getting better too. He's coming off a great postseason, but I was like, I'm going Kirby. And I was like, AJ's probably going to pick Pablo Lopez anyway, so we need to have a rivalry going. Kirby versus Lopez, bring it on. Kratz, Corbin Burns.
Yep.
Chalk.
Mm-hmm.
It's all,
I was going to pick Garrett Cole, but then he went on the 60-day IL.
Yeah, they're not picking. He just did actually get placed on the 60-day. It's just procedural. We knew that he was going to be out for the first couple months. It's 6 weeks, I guess, technically, because it's retroactive. Blah, blah, blah. He's not going to be back for a while. So. Yes. NL Cy. Kratz, do you have your pick ready?
I forget who it is. I really wanted to go Max Fried because that's who I went last year. I'm like, whatever. This is the time, especially with their newest signing, Zac Gallen. This is the time he wins the Cy Young, and it's pushing his team back into the playoffs.
Yeah, I thought about that one, but I went chalk Strider. I just feel like he's going to take the next step. He was right there last year, and he kind of went. He said
chalk.
He kind of dwindled down at the end a little bit, kind of like Scott's all of his picks. But I feel like Strider, this is his year where he just stays consistent the whole year. And like my career is going up, Strider's going up, Rosenthal's is going down.
And this is one where I have the same pick as AJ. So we live and die together with Spencer Strider. I mean, stuff-wise, he's off the charts. He's got more, right? It's not just a two-pitch Spencer Strider, supposedly.
Strider.
This year, so we'll see. I mean, he just strikes out the world. I actually thought that when you looked back at 2023, he was one of those guys that had some bad batted ball luck. I do believe in some of that. I know you guys don't. I do.
I just think he's good.
Yeah.
Because any ball that's put in play, his teammates are like, oh, what? It got put in play?
Yeah.
What do you have, like 280 strikeouts last year?
Yep.
Dude, he is the Well, we
K,
had to fill it out on our paper.
K.
Who's going to lead the league in Ks? As long as he's healthy, I mean, that's a lock. All right, let's do AL Rookie of the Year because then I have a fancy little clip about it. So, Kratz, you go first, and then I'll show you something.
Evan Carter. Easy.
Versus
a DH. Nope.
I'm gonna let you guys.
Oh, he said versus a DH.
I'm gonna let you guys decide who you think I'm picking.
Jonathan India is not a rookie.
True.
AJ.
True. But there's a guy on the Rangers that is.
Pete Alonso.
AJ Puck's not a rookie. Pete Alonso.
I did pick Pete Alonso to win the home run title though, so I'm consistent.
Harrison Bader.
Harrison Bader's not a rookie. Wyatt Langford, baby.
Gators. And if you're listening on the pod right now, we know who's a rookie and who's not. AJ had a UF helmet in his hands.
Yes. So yeah, I'm going Langford. I think Langford is going to mash enough to jump in front of Carter and anybody else in the American League. I just feel like he's just going to mash.
I agree. I'm going Langford, and
Carter's going to hold his struggles. AJ, when you struggle, it's like I just got to figure out a way to get out of this struggle. Carter's still going to not swing out of the zone. So that's where he's going to mitigate the down times. Look, I feel like both of us, all three of us are going to be right no matter what, because I think they're both going to have incredible seasons.
But only one will win.
Carter is going to be the one who's going to win.
Okay. It'll be a good battle. So we have prospect profile segs that we teamed up with Baseball America for. Go subscribe to their channel, by the way. Baseball America does incredible job for a long time covering prospects, draft picks, college baseball, etc. But if you want to see more on this, we just have a little sneak peek of us covering Wyatt Langford, JJ Cooper, and Carlos Collazo with a little 30 seconds on Wyatt Langford and his potential this year as a rookie. JJ, Wyatt Langford gets called up to the show after really a minute in the minor leagues. He gets drafted last year, and here he is. And now people want to know if he can win Rookie of the Year because he had a dominant spring training.
I think you have to consider him one of the favorites. You've seen everything he's done so far. And the thing I do like about this, for one, he's not being asked to be a savior or turn around a franchise. It's like, just step into the middle of the lineup for, the World Series champs. And he's doing that because every moment since he signed as a pro, he's hit. And he's hit for power and average. He gets on base. But they're also the biggest question with him is how much defensive value he's going to be going to have. We don't worry about that right now.
Nice. Good stuff. If you want to see more on many prospects that have just gotten called up to the show, Colton Cowser, Langford, Colt Keith, Jackson Churio, and many more. We did some back and forth with two of the prospect experts in our game. NL Rookie of the Year. Kratz, are you going Churio? You're going Yamamoto? Nice. Okay.
Bad pick. Like, he's got a 100 ERA right now.
He's got time. Did you? I went Yamamoto as well.
Of course you did. I went with a different fella. I went with the son of the wind. I went with Lee. Just because I think he's going to get a ton of at-bats. There's going to be a lot of attention on San Francisco in the West this year. And I think he's going to bring something different to the Giants that they haven't had in a while, which is like a speedy guy at the top of the lineup, like a true leadoff guy. And from what people say, he's a Gold Glove caliber center fielder. So I think this guy – and plus, I wanted to go with someone different.
It's a good pick. I like it.
I do like the pick. I just wanted to go with somebody different.
He's going to be he has a chance to be AJ's favorite player because he's like Luis Arraez in center field. He is. That is his offensive profile. He's
fast.
True. He's fast. He's Luis Arraez with speed in center field. I mean,
Jackson
he's a contact
Merrill,
guy.
If he wins the batting title, he will be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And Yamamoto went how many innings his first start and how many runs?
One inning, 5 runs. But what if Yamamoto is top 5 Cy? Then he wins Rookie of the Year. You don't think he'll be at that level?
I'm just saying, if my guy wins the batting title, guess what?
He's winning.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Merrill's going to be up there. He's going to give it a run for his money. I just think Yamamoto's experience, he's not really even a rookie. I got to take that.
Okay, so one more award set, and then we'll just run through. I'll have each of you just say, here's what I have for divisions and winner, that kind of thing. Because we got like 2-3 more minutes here, and then we'll get to our picks for the day. MVP. Why don't you go back-to-back, Kratz? Give me your AL and your NL.
Now I'm forgetting again. I'm the
Never
worst.
mind. AJ goes first. I've never seen him unprepared for a test.
I don't understand what happened.
Did you ever show up to a game and you were catching that day and
drunk?
You weren't drunk and you weren't
opening day
prepared?
Opening day with the Giants 2019. I could not have been more unprepared. It was a day game in San Diego. Fortunately, I wasn't playing. I just remember getting to the park and being like, I just got to this team. I barely even know who's on the team. I was so unprepared. So you talk about unprepared. This is my opening day. I am unprepared. Thank you.
I like it. It shows that you're human. You're normal.
I mean, even when I wasn't prepared, I was prepared. That's what I don't understand. I went 17 days when I got released from the Red Sox. Jumped right in the Cardinals. Matheny goes, you want to play or you want to watch? I go, I didn't come here to sit, bro. Throw me in there. Let's go. Fake it till you make it, Kratz. Let's go.
I'm not prepared. I'm prepared.
By the way, you had Julio Rodriguez, and of course you picked Bryce Harper. So those are your picks.
Golly, I can't believe I guess I don't even agree with my own picks that I picked them. Yes. This is the year that Bryce starts this team hot. That's why I picked them. This team. I also picked them, to give you a preview, to win the NL East. Because they have been an equal team to the Braves minus the start. And this is the year that they figure out how to start, except it has to be delayed by a day because the game got postponed.
Incredible. I've got Julio Rodriguez, so I'll match you for AL MVP. If we see Julio past the first month and a half of last season, if you get that level Julio playing center field, leading the team, they're going to need him too. I have the Mariners sneaking in as, I think I have them as second or third wild card. So if they make it to the playoffs and their offense is mid and Julio's a stud, it's hard to see him not winning an award like that if he looks like he did last year.
Okay. I have Soto in the American League because I just think he's going to hit in a great place in that lineup. Whoever hits leadoff, it's DJ or Glaber, and then you have Judge mixed in there. whoever he hits.
Yep.
Which I think he's going to hit 2 and Judge 3. So I think he's going to get a lot of pitches to hit, score a lot of runs, drive-in runs. And then the NL, I've already talked about it. The guy who just dominated the Korea series for the Dodgers, Mookie Betts, man. He's going to play shortstop. His defense is going to – because people are going to say, damn, a shortstop hit 35 and drove in 110, plus he hit 300 and he stole bases. That doesn't happen very often, so I think he's going to be the NL.
I've got Acuna against you just like last year. I'm going to get back-to-backs. I think as long as he's healthy, they might try and tell him to chill on the bases, and he's going to be like, screw you. You only gave me 8 years, 100. You want me to chill on the bases? Give me another big-ass extension, much bigger than the one I'm on. Right?
I like that motivation.
You want me to chill on the bases a little bit and preserve me long term? I'm playing my ass off. I'm running. So he's going for 75 bags. And even if he steals 55 and he puts together a season like last year, I think he wins it again.
What if they come to him and say, our team will win in the playoffs if you relax and we know you're healthy? You think he's like, I don't care. I want the MVP.
He plays one way. And that's
it. And I like that. Play with your hair on fire.
You can't
that's
turn that
what
off.
You are.
I agree.
No. Yeah. And then ready for the run through?
Yeah,
go for it. Go. You want to go?
Yeah, we're doing National League or American League first?
Just run the whole thing.
All right, I got American League first. I got Orioles in the East, Twins in the Central, Astros in the West. Yes, I said Astros. Wild cards, no particular order just because I threw 3 teams down, but I think it's going to be the Mariners. I think the Yankees figure out a way to sneak in. And I was going to go with the Blue Jays or the Yankees, but I went Yankees just because I picked Soto as my MVP. And then I picked Rangers as the other wild card, and I think they're going to get healthy at the end and sneak at the end once they get DeGrom, Scherzer, Molly back. National League?
Yeah, just do the whole thing.
Okay, National League, I have Braves, Phillies out, Kratz. Central Reds, although McLain injury really hurts me. Dodgers in the West, wild cards, Phillies, Giants, Diamondbacks.
Nice. And then give me an NL champ and World Series.
Same one as last year. Astros versus Braves in the World Series. Braves win. Same exact one I picked last year.
There you go.
I got half of it right, so I'm 50% good.
All right, I'll speed through mine, and then Kratz, you finish. I got the Orioles taking the AL East. I think they'll do it by at least 7-8 games. I think they're going to be clear. I think they're clear-cut ahead of the rest of the pack. I got the Twins in the Central. I wanted to go somewhere else, but I just couldn't talk myself into it. AL West champ, Astros.
Oh.
Bullpen's dominant. Guys getting closer to free agency since Bregman's going to pop off. Tucker's going to pop off. If Jordan's healthy, he's going to pop off. Rangers first wild card. Kind of weird. I didn't see this coming from myself, but I did the picks at 3 a.m. Rays second wild card. They always figure out a way. I like their offense more than I thought I would. I was just crunching some numbers. Mariners third wild card. Still love you guys. Love your pitching staff. And then on the other side, I got the Braves taking the East. I got the Cubs taking the Central. I had the Reds for a while. The injury bug's hitting me too hard right now, so I'm a little down on them. The Dodgers taking the West. I got the Phillies taking a wild card, the Giants and the Diamondbacks, which I think is the list that you had. Yeah. Well, it's for me, it feels a little chalkish out there. It's hard to see some of those teams not making it. And here's a wild one. So I have the Rangers making it back, which I think people will freak out about because it's so tough to get back into the World Series. But I think they have so much supplemental pitching coming in the second half of the year that it will help them. I have the Phillies making it into the World Series. They were a couple Craig Kimbrell blown saves away. And I actually think we get the same storyline again. Phillies, Braves. Phillies had the wild card. They beat the Braves, and the world ends because they're like, it's so unfair. They got the top seed. They had the bye. Fuck the bye. So the Phillies do it. They win the World Series this time while they still have all these players in their prime. Kratz, you go.
Orioles in the American League East. The White Sox in the Central. The Astros in the West. No, it's the Tigers. I got the Tigers winning the Central. This is the year that this new pitching staff, they have Matt Manning starting in the minor leagues. Is Matt Manning a world beater? No. But he is giving them depth. They think Casey Mize is ready to go. Tarek Skubal is an absolute beast. I think this is the Tigers winning the AL Central. Then I have I said the Astros West. Then I had the Yankees, Rangers, and Blue Jays. The Blue Jays pitching staff is finally going to be propped up by Vlad and Bo and Dalton Varsho in center field. I think this is the year that the Blue Jays will push it, but I have the Yankees making it to the World Series out of the American League. I think the Astros are going to have the best record. They're going to get that top seed because of the fact that they lengthened their bullpen with Hader. Then I have NL East, Phillies, Reds in the Central, Dodgers in the West. Braves will get the wild card, and they will get to say, this is so nice getting to play a cutthroat panic game against who did I have? They'll get to play the Giants because the Giants are going to be the 3 seed, and then the Dodgers are going to have the top seed, and my other playoff team in the National League is the Diamondbacks. Maybe this is recency bias, but the Diamondbacks are going to get in again. The issue is with their Cy Young Award winner, Zac Gallen, they're going to lose to the Phillies. The Phillies will be the National League champions and also the world champions.
Boom. There you go. We have the same thing. All right, now let's do our picks. Let's zone in on today. Your BetMGM Locks. Let's get it on. We're starting again. And first off,
I'm
also
David
in the
Rubenstein.
BetMGM
I'm
app.
pleased to be the new owner of the Baltimore Orioles.
David, stop. Thank you. MLB free game of the day streaming on the BetMGM app. So if you're in one of those areas where you're dealing with MLB blackouts, this might be the spot for you to catch the Yankees against the Astros. And now let's get to our locks. Jonathan Papelbon, new to the party, is going to be a part of our locks very frequently. So Pap, you start.
Jonathan Papelbon here. Happy opening day, man. I can't tell you how excited I am. Everybody's got a chance. Game 1. So coming to you live now with Pap's pick. First pick of the year. I'm pumped to start making the fans money. That money's calling, y'all. We got to get it. So here we go. My first pick of the year. Arizona Diamondbacks playing the Colorado Rockies at home. The National League champs coming back with a young team. Coming back with a vengeance. I love them playing at home after their run last year. I think Colorado doesn't have nothing for them this year. I mean, Arizona is going to be right back where they were last year. And I'm taking them today at -1.5 runs at -115. So let's go, Diamondbacks. All you got to do is win by 2. Let's put that ass whooping on them.
There you go, Pap. And he says he's putting down 575 on that one. So we'll see. He'll either be up big to start or down big to start.
He goes big.
Yeah. I'll go quick on mine. I got Baltimore run line. I think they're going to blow past the Angels today. I mean, they looked incredible in spring training. They've got such a talented lineup. Corbin Burns is going to shove on day 1. So I see them winning big in day 1. What do you got?
If they play.
If they play.
Which I think
and
they
if
are.
not, then I'm at nothing. But I'm going with my normal. 100 to win, 110. It's a plus 110 for me when I locked it in.
I went kind of a crazy one because why not? It's for opening day. I went White Sox game, of course. I went Crochet, who's starting for him, 4Ks, because he throws 100 and he's left-handed. And then Scooble, who is going to be really good this year, 6Ks, and he's going to walk a guy because he's going to try to throw 100 and he's going to walk a guy. So that gets me to plus 150. So I'm just throwing down 100. I'm going to be up 150 starting tomorrow, and we can start the year again.
Kratz?
I'm going with a under parlay. I'm going with Justin Steele under 5.5 strikeouts and Josiah Gray under 5.5 strikeouts. 2 guys that I read, their pitch counts may not be where the teams want their pitch counts to be, and the bullpens are fresh. I have them under 5.5 Ks. It's parlayed. I think it's at 1. I locked it in at plus 143.
There you go. And hey, if you're new to the party at BetMGM, we got that first bet offer for $1,500 in bonus bets, depending on what your first wager looks like. When you use the bonus code FOUL, there are picks. And then also, if you are in North Carolina, $150 in bonus bets when you bet at least 5, instantly in additional winnings, regardless of the outcome of your wager. If you're new to the party on the BetMGM Sportsbook app, gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's finish strong here. Slap hands, and then, of course, in true FT fashion, we'll get to Dodgers territory, probably like 2 minutes late. That's not bad for us. Kratz Hatz, run it.
I mean, is there a hat
Beautiful.
that you need to say more about?
No.
Like, just an epic color, the whole meaning behind the logo, just beautiful.
It is beautiful. I'll give it an A-. It's very nicely done. My shirt should get an A from Last
Too
Dive
small,
Bar.
but other than
Fisher out. Okay, so B+ because it is a schmedium. There it is. A's fans and the city of Oakland have an awesome, awesome opening day outside of the ballpark. Cannot wait to see what that looks like. It is going to be the ultimate party. If you're in the Bay Area, go out. This is our music to play us off. Wow.
I like it.
Okay. Thanks for watching FT. AJ's got his first Fox game on Saturday. Make sure you check that out. We have a special guest, AJ, joining us for tomorrow's show as a co-host. You guys don't even know about this. This just happened, so stay tuned.
I know about it.
Try and guess. Oh, of course you do.
Well, who is it? I want to know.
I'm not going to tell you.
Why
It's a
wouldn't you tell
surprise.
me?
It's a surprise.
It's AJ.
Blurp, blurp, blurp. Tyler Kinley of the Rockies joining us tomorrow. Happy opening day, people. We can't wait. See you on Dodgers territory. I'll be in the chat. Bye.
Subscribe, please. It's free.